Okay, thanks for joining me today here on Northwest Liberty News. I'm your host, James White. It is the 23rd day of March 2022. We're delighted to be having you join us here on this special afternoon broadcast. We hope you caught the earlier broadcast at 10 a.m. on Bright Town Radio, and we appreciate you joining us here at northwestlibertynews.com, northwestlibertynews.com. I am joined today by Constance Neumann, who's a candidate for Montana House District 9. We had David August down here I don't know, a few months back before actually we were broadcasting again with Northwest Liberty News. I think he might be here in the next week or so. And we're delighted to have Constance here on the broadcast to talk about her upcoming run. Actually, she's in the run right now, talk about her platform. And let me give her a very brief introduction. Constance Neumann is born and raised in the land of Lincoln with a strong work ethic. As a working mom, earned a paralegal Bachelor of Science degree, magna cum laude from Texas Women's University. Worked with constitutional law attorneys, including one who fought and beat the ACLU so students could exercise their First Amendment rights at the nationwide See You at the Poll. Prior member of Columbia Falls Planning Board, business owner for over 40 years, family-owned business in Evergreen for over 25 years, co-owner of firearms component manufacturing business. Constance Neumann, thanks so much for joining us here today on Northwest Liberty News.
Thank you so much, Jim. It's great to be here.
Well, it's great to have you here. We do appreciate you coming by the studio, and we've kind of jazzed the studio up. We were doing this a couple of years ago when I was with Excellence in Voting, doing some radio broadcasts for them, and we've been able to jazz things up a little bit since then, and we do appreciate you coming by the studio and taking advantage of all the work that we've done here. It's good to have you here today. Let's start, if we can, give us a little bit of a just sort of an overview, sort of a background. You don't really come from the political world. I would not call you a career politician by any means. So starting off, just tell us, if you can, what gave you the motivation, and what was it, an event that happened? Did you just see the general direction that the world's going in and you thought you'd step in and try to make a difference? What was the impetus behind you deciding to run for Montana House District 9? Constance Neumann, over to you.
Well, I would say the main event is when I saw what this administration is currently doing. It really is gravely concerning to me as a parent and a grandparent. I care about the future that our children will be looking at. We're having a tremendous loss of freedoms and liberties and constitutional rights. Our Constitution is being shredded by the regime that's now in power in Washington, D.C. And the Constitution says we, the people, are the ones that empower the people in government, and they work for us. We don't work for them. And I was deeply disturbed and felt like it was time to step up and use my voice, as all citizens need to do. And I just, when I was approached by some leadership to run for this district, I prayed into it and felt like that this was the time to make that jump.
Indeed, it is the time, and I've been calling that on my broadcast for a long time. You know, if you're waiting for headquarters to call you and tell you it's time to get active, it's not going to happen. Everybody listening to this broadcast and, who will watch it afterwards, this is your call. It's time to stand up.
Yes.
Our country we're literally at the crossroads here, and this is the battle for everything. I mean, if the communist takeover that's in place, if that's successful, it's not going to be a very good life for a lot of people, especially for people like you and I, who are conservative and who are believe in liberty and Second Amendment rights. And I think, though, we're winning this battle, Constance. I know sometimes it doesn't look like it, but I really believe that in the long run, and I don't think it's going to be too much longer, because you see a lot of stuff coming out, a lot of things are going on, and I think that we're going to be reaching some sort of a climax here pretty soon. And I say we win on the other side. Do you have any thoughts about that?
I totally agree, Jim. It's more than a battle, it's a war that's going on for the heart and soul of our country, because we were founded on biblical principles, and there are people that just hate the Constitution, that are out for and control and taking away our liberties. And there is so much at stake. But I do believe the tide is turning. I believe people are not woke, but they are awake. they are waking up, they are getting involved, they are understanding that, hey, I make a difference. I have a voice in this. It is about we the people. And I'm encouraged as to all the people that are getting involved and taking a stand on school boards and city councils and all kinds of local races and on a state and federal level, because I totally agree that we can turn things around.
So right now, Constance, one of the main issues I think there's a few, but one of the issues I think that are of a concern to the majority of not only people in Montana but nationwide. But let's just focus on Montana is voter integrity. It really doesn't matter if you have the best candidate, if you have the most money, if you have the best campaign manager, if you have the biggest signs, if you have the most location. If someone is stealing your votes, or the votes that are supposed to go to you are not going to you or going to somebody else, or there's dead people voting for your opponent, I mean, it really nullifies all the good work that you may be doing when they steal it from you. Do you agree, Constance, that the voter integrity issue that it's just been, it's been talked about quite a bit. Articles have been written. There's been, battles going on here in the valley, as you probably know. We won't go into that. Is that something that's on the forefront for you?
Oh,
Is that election integrity? Go ahead.
absolutely. Absolutely. Fair and free elections are the bedrock of our democratic society, of our democracy, of our constitutional republic. If we lose the integrity of our elections, um, it's lost. I mean, we're no better than a third world country that is controlled by a dictator. It's one person, one vote, not dead people, not people that have moved away to another state or been gone for 20 years, not fabricated ballots that are dropped into drop boxes and taken out of suitcases at midnight. I personally would love to see us go back to paper ballots
That's right. Me too.
with with voter ID, with driver's license that verifies that indeed you are a citizen of the United States, of that county, of that precinct. Um, there are enough people that are so distraught about the stolen elections that there are plenty of people that would step up uh, to count ballots like we used to. Technology is subject to cyber attacks, to hacking. There's a reason why financial institutions and medical offices do not use cell phones to communicate, is to protect the safety of their clients' information. Um, I definitely think this is of prime importance, and there's a number of things that cannot be addressed until that particular issue has been secured.
Well, just let me ask you flat out, just a pointed question. As we sit here today, March 23rd, do you feel that the current situation as it is right now I believe we have the ES&S voting machines, do you feel confident today, as we sit here today, that if the election were today, do you feel confident that all the machines have all been vetted properly and then everything's going to be carried out the way legally and lawfully that it should be? But what's your level of confidence in that?
We saw what happened in Mesa County, Colorado, um, where the election department there, the lady in charge of the elections, she saved the information before all the voter information prior to the ESS update. And after that update happened, we saw that there were a number of irregularities. So I have grave concern over any type of computerized election ballot counting. Again, I personally think we need to go back to paper ballots to eliminate that whole problem.
Another hot topic, I agree. I believe we need paper ballots as well, and I've called for that also, at least for now. And, just put these machines aside for now. Let's go back to paper ballots here for a cycle, and then we can research this stuff more and get to the bottom of what's going on. I mean, it's even if one person's vote is stolen, it's not worth going through with it. I mean, every person's vote, it should count, and you should be the living amongst the living. Yeah, I think it should be certainly a pre-qualifier. You have to be alive to vote. Of course, these days we have to say that it's crazy. Talk about something else that's going on that's crazy. This is a hot button issue. You've just seen, I think, the NCAA championships where a man swam on the women's team and just crushed all the records and, deflated all the, the training and everything these women have done. This is a hot button issue right now. And I know that, on a national level, of course, this is nothing that you have control over, but here in Montana, can you give me your thoughts on that? I mean, this to me, if for women, they're going to ruin women's sports. They're going to completely obliterate it. I mean, women that have worked their whole lives and trained since they've been young, and to have that happen is just, in my view, preposterous. Do you have any comments on that? I'd like to be able to make sure that doesn't happen here in Montana, or at least the people that stand up against it aren't, cancel cultured or have discrimination lawsuits put against them because they just want to stand for what they believe in. Do you have any comments on that? I know it's a hot button issue, but it is what it is. It's something on people's mind, whether they like to admit it or not. Constance?
Well, God created man and woman, period. Uh, no matter what you do to your body, you cannot change your DNA, and gender is established in DNA. So it's very sad to see what these people are doing to their bodies to try to turn themselves into another gender, because it's impossible. I mean, you can make yourself look like somebody of the other genders, and but the fact is, a man is a man and a woman is a woman, and the culture needs to, the sports arena needs to honor that. And it is not fair to girls to have men and compete in their sports. We see this over and over again. John Fuller, in the last legislative session in 2020, introduced the bathroom bill, which was passed. So I really appreciate that we have made good strides to protect girls in locker rooms and bathrooms, but there's a lot more that needs to be done. So I look forward to going to Helena and standing strong for DNA. Whatever gender's on your birth certificate, that's where you compete.
No, I agree with you completely. And the problem is, and we're going to take a quick commercial break here just in a minute. The problem is it's passed as a federal law, and then since 50% of our income here in Montana comes from the federal government, they have some control over the purse strings, and they say if you don't comply, then you're going to lose federal funding. Well, what state can operate when 50% of their funds are in jeopardy? So, I mean, it's just something needs to be, I don't have the answers here today, but something needs to be done about that. That's for sure. Constance Neumann, we're going to take a quick commercial break. NewmanForMontana.com, NewmanForMT.com. So it's NEUMANNFORMT.com. And NorthwestLibertyNews.com. We'll be back on the other side of this brief commercial message, and we will talk about the out-of-control Supreme Court, or the courts, really, the court system in general here in Montana. And we'll talk about Constance's, her platform, and get some more information about that. Again, we'll be back after these brief messages here on Northwest Liberty News. If you like classic cars, exceptional service, and a money-back guarantee, then the Corner Shop in beautiful downtown Kalispell is the place for you. Whether it's an oil change, engine diagnostic, suspension work, or brakes all around, the Corner Shop has you covered. With expert technicians and a free consultation on all services, you can't go wrong with the Corner Shop. Did I mention the classic cars? While you're waiting for your expert service to be performed, take a stroll through the showroom to see Kalispell's smoothest collection of classic cars. The Corner Shop is conveniently located at 1212 South Main, just south of the courthouse. The Corner Shop is open Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. till 5 p.m., so drop by for an appointment or call 755-7777. That's 755-7777. The Corner Shop, Kalispell's full-service auto repair facility.
7K Metals is legacy. They help you leave a legacy for your family. Reasonable and affordable. Anyone can own gold and silver. It creates great generational wealth and residual passive income. No minimum or maximum order. 7K Metals has a Better Business Bureau A+ rating. It's about leaving a legacy for your family. It's about helping people. Now is the time to find out more information about protecting yourself. Call Carla at 406-855-2761. That's 406-855-2761. Today is a great time to buy gold and silver as a hedge against poor government decisions and potential economic collapse if history repeats itself. Take control of your financial future. Call Carla at 406-855-2761. 406-855-2761. Call now. 7K Metals and ask about your legacy.
PatriotPrepared.com carries the leading brands of storable food from Legacy and Heaven's Harvest. Patriot Prepared. Our name says it all. We're dedicated to empowering you to be self-reliant and confident in any circumstance. Whether you want to be prepared in the event of an emergency or you're an outdoor sports enthusiast, PatriotPrepared.com has prepackaged meals and kits for your entire family. Legacy, Heaven's Harvest are known for high-quality, great-tasting, GMO-free, nutritious food with no chemical preservatives. Simple to prepare, easy to store, gluten-free and organic high-quality nutrition options with a 25-year shelf life. You can't beat the feeling of being food secure when you need it most. So go to PatriotPrepared.com right now to pick up your supply of high-quality storable food for your family, because it makes good sense to be prepared. That's PatriotPrepared.com.
Okay, folks, if you haven't got storable food, it's not too late. Go to PatriotPrepared.com, PatriotPrepared.com. We're still shipping out food. Who knows for how long with everything that's going on here. Saw the gas prices just went up to over $4 a gallon here right around the corner from the studio. And when the gas prices go up, the price of everything goes up. And I don't see any short-term end to that. So if you don't have food yet, it's time to lock it in right now. Go to PatriotPrepared.com. We broadcast each weekday, Monday through Friday, 10 to 11 a.m. on all of these same stations and Brighteon Radio. So check that out over at brighteonradio.com or northwestlibertynews.com. Okay, we have Constance Neumann here with us on the broadcast today. She is running for Montana House District 9 here, and that's the Evergreen area there, and we appreciate having her on the broadcast today. Constance, first of all, thanks for hanging on for the break. We appreciate that. And also, here's what frustrates me, and I don't know if it frustrates you, but we'll find out here in a minute. Last legislative session, you have bills that go through the House, they get debated, they go to the Senate, they come back, they work it out. You know how it goes. There's some horse trading going on. Finally, they come up with a bill. It gets passed. It goes to the governor. He signs it. Then the lawsuits start. It goes to the judiciary, and all the work that the legislators did that are closest to the folks, not the judges. The legislators are the closest to the folks. The work that is done at the legislature gets completely undermined. The rug gets pulled completely out of it by the judges. This is a consolidation of power in the judicial system here in Montana, and frankly, it's got to stop. Constance, give me your thoughts on that, and what can we do as a legislature? What can you do as a legislator to help, end that situation, because it's just getting out of control? Constance Neumann.
It is out of control. There's a reason why our founding fathers put in the balance of powers between the executive, judiciary, and legislative. The judiciary was never intended to override the legislative, which is the will of the people. We elect officials to go and represent us, to present the will of the people, to legislate, to make laws. The judiciary is way overreaching. They have far exceeded their bounds constitutionally. They were never intended to override the will of the people. And we absolutely have to do something about that. And I do have an idea of where we can start with that. One place as a starting point would be, since we now have judges that are ruling and making decisions based upon their ideology and their politics and the culture, I believe that we need to, in order for a judge to be on the ballot, they should declare their politics if they're going to make decisions based upon their politics. This was never the intended. It should be intention. It should be nonpartisan, but it's not anymore. So I think the people need to know what they're voting for. When you buy something at the store, it has a label so you know what's in it. When you elect somebody, you should have a label and know what they stand for. So that would be a starting point as far as at least identifying their ideologies and their politics and their worldview, which does affect their decisions.
Well, we might have been able to ascertain those things if could have seen the emails that were lawfully the right of the people to see. If you work for the state of Montana, if you work for the people and you use your work email to send email back and forth, and here's a heads up for you when you get to Helena, everything can be FOIA'd. All of that should be open book. Nothing that's done on any computer paid for by the people of Montana, that should all be open book stuff. Would you agree to that, Constance? And would you even come to as far as, well, you really don't need to pass legislation. I think the legislation is already there. How do we stop that from happening?
Well, the Freedom of Information Act is a very good thing. And that is a way that we can force transparency of things that are going on underneath the scenes and under the covers. Um, we definitely need transparency in our government. And if that's not going to be provided voluntarily, well, then that's what the FOIA is about. But my campaign is all about transparency. If you look at my literature, if you look at my cards, I don't speak in glowing generalities about the community, about leadership. I talk about specifics. This is my experience. This is my background. These are my qualifications. And these are the principles and the core values that I stand for. So I am very transparent in that. And we need much more transparency within all levels of government.
You can say that again. That's for sure. So if you can here, we've got about 10 minutes or so left. Give us, if you can, your platform. And when I say that, what things, if you get elected and go to Helena, what things are important to you? Is there any items that sort of are on your radar or specific area that you have interest in that you would like to either work with other legislators or perhaps even put forth legislation on your own, which you, of course, have the full right to do? I think a lot of first-time legislators are kind of getting used to things, but I say just hit the ground running. You got some legislation you want to put forth? Just go ahead and do it. That's what I say. What's on your radar right now, Constance, as you prepare to, if you win the race, go to Helena?
Boy, that's a loaded question. And I have all kinds of things on my radar screen that I want to be ready to hit the ground running on day one. I already have a working relationship with a number of legislative leaders in Helena. So it's about unity and teamwork and working together to get things passed with people that are like minded. One of the big things is we need to make Montana a safe state for the unborn. That means getting rid of abortion on every level. I'd like to introduce Janet Porter's heartbeat bill that has been introduced to 30 states and it's already been passed in, I think, maybe 17 or 18. Don't quote me on that. So that is one thing. Another thing we just discussed was about our overactive, overreaching, unconstitutional judiciary. As a paralegal with a background in paralegal studies and a degree magna cum laude, I've worked with constitutional law attorneys, and we definitely need to rein in our judicial system to make it constitutional like it was designed to be. So the question's kind of two-pronged. I have like an umbrella of overarching core principles um, that are hills I'm willing to die on, pro-life, the Constitution, limited government, a number of different things, term limits. Um,
I'm sure your
on the
strong Second Amendment, having ownership in parts of ammunition or weapons manufacturing parts, you're probably very pro Second Amendment, one would imagine.
Absolutely. Yeah, when I say Constitution, that covers a whole gamut of things.
Right on.
First Amendment rights, freedom of speech. Censorship should not even be on the radar screen. Second Amendment is the right to keep and bear arms. That means you have the right to take your firearm for self-defense uh, anywhere, is to keep and bear arms. So when I say I am for the Second Amendment, those are not just words, because it's our livelihood. We are we manufacture by the hundreds and thousands in our business various components for the firearms industry. So the Second Amendment is our livelihood. That's what puts bread and butter on our table. So you can make dang sure that I'm going to stand strong for the Second Amendment.
Let me give your as a side note. Let me get your thoughts on the Montana Supreme Court allowing the regents to override the legislature on campus carry. I believe the regents came out. It was passed into law. I think Gary Marbett, who's been on the show many times, from Montana Sports Shooting Association, he's been on does that legislation, and they overturned it. They said the regents had the power, I guess, over the Constitution here in Montana. What's your thoughts on that, Constance? I mean, I was appalled by that. But what can you expect from the current Supreme Court?
No one is above the law, and that includes the Board of Regents that govern a very important part of our higher education, which has basically been hijacked. um, they, I filled out a questionnaire recently and I elaborated on that point exactly. I said, I think that's something that definitely needs to be changed because no one is above the law, and that includes the Board of Regents. There's no reason for them to not have to obey what people from all over Montana have put into law. So that definitely needs to come in line. And other things, when I say I have overarching principles that govern my decisions and where I stand and the hills I'm willing to die on, that's the big umbrella. And underneath that, we have a number of things in House District 9 that are of concerns to our local constituents. Um, One of which is we have a proliferation of dispensaries of marijuana, which the people have voted. The people have said that they do want recreational marijuana. But I think in our district, we have like 17 or 18 different dispensaries that just line our highway in some cases. In some cases, they're not as obvious. But I have concerns for the integrity of our neighborhood and the safety of our children, uh, as being so exposed to mind altering substances. Alcohol is managed, and I think that people that I talk to in my district are very concerned about that. And I think that's something that we need to look at for unincorporated areas, which 90% of House District 9 is. Also, there's a bottleneck on Reserve, which is a parking lot very often at certain times of the day from Whitefish Stage all the way back to Home Depot. And I want to light a fire and work with other legislators to get the Montana Department of Transportation to look at that. I've read where they're looking at other things that are, in my mind, of much lesser importance. And we definitely need to put that up higher on their priority scale so that the people of Evergreen and House District 9 can get to work and get to their children's functions without spending 45 minutes in a parking lot on Reserve.
Yeah, no
Um,
kidding.
Another one is inflation right now. I mean, gas, like you said, is at $4 a gallon and up. 7.9% inflation last month. I mean, we could see $6 gas by the summer and 10% inflation. I mean, that hurts the working families everywhere and in our district. Single moms and the elderly. I mean, I have great concerns of how this affects us, and I don't have an answer for that. I mean, anybody that has basic freshman economics knows supply demand, and we have a liar in chief that's saying, oh, if we just print more money, inflation will get better. Well, that's the cause of it. And we need to look at a way that I don't know what to do about that, but I have great
Well, perhaps
concerns.
alternative currencies, perhaps alternative. I mean, just there's a financial system, and then there's an economy. right? The financial system is controlled by the oligarchs that put out Federal Reserve notes that they print out of thin air. There can still be an economy without having the financial system. Like if I want to go down to the Hutterite farm and pick up some Hutterite groceries or something, and I want to trade in a thing of silver, a silver coin for it, then the financial system is not even involved in that, right? It's not even, doesn't go through the banks or any of that stuff. That's the type of stuff I think that's going to have to happen, because the financial system, I mean, in Federal Reserve notes, things are just going to keep going up and up and up and up. That's why we need to have an alternative. And I think we're at a point now in history, we have no other choice. $30 trillion in debt. Constance, we're never going to be able to repay back $30 trillion in debt. Never. They could take all the money that all of us make, not the taxes, all of the income that all of us make in America in 1 year, and pay that towards the debt. Wouldn't even come close to paying it off. I mean, it's outrageous. It's preposterous.
Yeah, it is. It is. And it's putting a huge burden on many generations that come after us. And it definitely needs to get under control.
No doubt about that. Constance, as far as the dispensaries go, just give those guys an Xbox and a bag of Doritos, and then you won't see them for days. You won't see them for days.
Munchies are good.
Constance Neumann, we appreciate you joining us here on the broadcast. Is there anything that you want to say in closing? Newman for Montana.com or MT. I probably should say MT because people are going to type in Montana. Newman for MT.com. I'll go ahead and give you the last word. Give you about a minute. Anything you want to say? Any events you have coming up? Anything else that you want to get across to the people listening? I'll give it over to you.
Well, there are distinct differences between this three-way race. I think if people look at the facts and the background and experience and education and heart for the community, um, we have a family legacy of 25 years in business in Evergreen. My husband's business prospered so much we had to move out to a larger facility. But we have a son and grandson that are in business in Evergreen. When we were in town, we employed 30 people that contributed to the economic base here. I really have a heart for this area and the good working people that are the backbone of the community and of the valley. And I want to do everything I can to support the people in our district, to stand strong for our constitutional rights and our personal freedoms. And would appreciate everyone's vote on June 7th for the best qualified candidate. And if anybody has any questions, I have literature around town. Newman for HD.9 or Newman for HD9 is my Facebook page. And I just encourage everybody to get involved because elections matter. And we're seeing that today. And I look forward to everyone's vote on June 7th.
Very good. And if I can give you one bit of political advice, I'm not a political consultant, but I do know that door knocking seems to be pretty effective. It seems to be tried and true. It's not it's not the favorite thing to do, but I think people that do door knocking generally end up better off in the long run.
I've been doing door knocking and I love it.
Good for you.
Because I love meeting people. I love connecting with people in my district. I'd much rather listen than speak. And as a representative, we have to listen to the people because that's who we represent. So
That's right.
We better be listening to them. And I had a team of 6 that joins me sometimes, and we talk to a lot of people. We get a lot of area covered, and I love door knocking and meeting the people in my district.
Well, very good. Constance Neumann, thanks so much for joining us here today on Northwest Urban News. We appreciate you taking time to come in. Perhaps we'll even have you on again here before the actual primary. Really do stay safe out there, door knocking. And folks, if you like what you heard today, then cast your vote for Constance Neumann when the time comes. NewmanForMT.com, NewmanForMT.com. I'm James White from NorthwestLibertyNews.com, and I want to thank my guest, Constance, today. Until next time, James White from Northwest Liberty News saying bye now.
It's a pleasure.